What if I told you that paying cash for a car is one of the worst financial decisions you can make, even if you have the money sitting right in your bank account? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're talking about something that will completely change the way you think about buying your next car. The common belief and why it's wrong. Most people grow up hearing the same advice from their parents, their relatives, and their friends. Never take a loan. Save your money. Pay cash for everything. Debt is bad. And honestly, that advice made sense decades ago. Back when interest rates were unpredictable, when financial products were limited, and when the average person had very few investment options, paying cash was the safest move. But here is the truth that most people refuse to accept. We are no longer living in that era. The financial world has completely changed. The tools available to you today are powerful. The opportunities to grow your money are everywhere. And the people who understand this, the wealthy, the financially educated, they are playing a completely different game than the rest of us. Here is something that will shock you. Most millionaires and high-net-worth individuals do not pay cash for their cars. Not because they cannot afford it, but because they know something the average person does not. They understand the true cost of paying cash and how it silently destroys your wealth-building potential. Think about it this way. When you take a large amount of money, let's say $20,000 or $30,000, and you hand it over to a car dealership in one single payment, that money is gone. It is no longer working for you. It is sitting inside a machine that is losing value every single day. The true cost of paying cash, what nobody tells you. So in part 1, we established one very important idea, that paying cash for a car means that money is gone. Finished. Done. But now let's go even deeper, because this is where most people make a massive mental mistake. When you pay $25,000 cash for a car, you do not just lose $25,000. You actually lose much more than that, and here's why. Every single dollar you own has something called opportunity cost. This is one of the most important concepts in personal finance, and yet most people have never even heard of it. Opportunity cost simply means, what could this money have earned if I had used it differently? Let me give you a very simple example. If you had taken that same $25,000 and instead of handing it to a car dealership, you had invested it in a simple index fund, something that historically returns around 10% per year. Here is what would have happened. In just 5 years, that $25,000 would have grown to approximately $40,000. In 10 years, it becomes nearly $65,000. And in 20 years, that single car payment decision would have cost you over $168,000 in lost wealth. Read that again. One decision, one car purchase, $168,000 gone. Not because you spent it, but because you gave up the opportunity to grow it. Now here is where it gets even more painful. A car is not an asset. It is a depreciating liability. The moment you drive a brand new car off the dealership lot, it loses anywhere between 15% to 20% of its value immediately. Within the first 5 years, most cars lose nearly 60% of their original value. So you took $25,000 out of your investment potential, handed it to a dealership, and within 5 years that car is worth maybe $10,000. You did not just spend money. You destroyed wealth from 2 directions at the same time. The smart alternative, what wealthy people actually do. So now you understand the problem. Paying cash kills your opportunity cost, and a depreciating asset destroys your wealth from both sides. But here is the real question. What should you do instead? This is exactly what financially smart people do. They use other people's money, OPM. This is not a new concept. Wealthy individuals, successful business owners, and smart investors have been doing this for decades. And the core idea is beautifully simple. If a bank or a financing company is willing to lend you money at 4%, 5%, or even 6% interest, and your money sitting in an investment is earning you 10% to 12% per year, then why on earth would you use your own cash? Let me break this down with real numbers. Suppose you finance a $25,000 car at 5% interest over 5 years. Your monthly payment comes out to roughly $470 per month. Yes, you will pay some interest, let's say around $3,200 total over 5 years. But meanwhile, your $25,000 stays invested. It keeps compounding. It keeps growing. And at 10% annual returns, it earns you back approximately $15,000 in gains over those same 5 years. You paid $3,200 in interest but earned $15,000 in returns. That is a net gain of nearly $12,000 just by making the smarter financing decision. This is not magic. This is not complicated. This is just math working in your favor instead of against you. The conditions that make this strategy actually work. Now, before you run to a car dealership and finance everything in sight, stop. Because this strategy is powerful, but it only works when you follow some very specific conditions. Ignore these rules, and you will end up in a worse position than if you had just paid cash. Condition number 1. Your investment returns must beat your interest rate. This is the entire foundation of the strategy. If your car loan interest rate is 7%, but your investments are only earning 5%, the math flips against you. You are now losing money on the difference. So before you finance anything, you must be absolutely honest with yourself. Do you actually have your money invested somewhere that is consistently beating your loan interest rate? If the answer is no, this strategy does not apply to you yet. Condition number 2. You must actually keep the money invested. This is where most people fail. They tell themselves, I will keep my cash invested. But then 3 months later, that money gets spent on a vacation, a home renovation, or an emergency. The strategy only works if that $25,000 stays invested and keeps compounding. You need real financial discipline here, not just good intentions. Condition number 3. The monthly payment must be comfortable. Financing a car means committing to a monthly payment for years. If that payment is stretching your budget too thin, causing you stress, or forcing you to skip other financial goals, then you are hurting yourself. The payment should feel manageable without affecting your savings rate or your emergency fund. Condition number 4. Your credit score must be strong. The entire advantage of this strategy depends on getting a low interest rate on your car loan. And low interest rates are only offered to people with strong credit scores. If your credit score is weak and the bank is offering you 12% or 15% interest, walk away. At that point, paying cash or saving up more before buying becomes the smarter move. The mistake people make even after understanding this strategy. So now you know the strategy. You know the conditions. You feel confident. But here is where it gets dangerous. Because even people who fully understand this concept still make one critical mistake that wipes out every single advantage. They finance the wrong car. Let me explain. When people realize they do not have to pay cash up front, something psychological happens inside their brain. Suddenly, they start thinking bigger. They start upgrading. They go from looking at a $20,000 car to a $40,000 car, simply because the monthly payment feels manageable. This is called payment mentality, and it is a trap that car dealerships absolutely love. They do not want you thinking about the total price. They want you focused only on the monthly number. Sir, it is only $550 a month, and suddenly you are $40,000 deep into a liability that is losing value every single day. The smart move is this. Finance a reasonably priced car, not your dream car. The goal is to keep your cash invested while minimizing the total interest you pay. The lower the loan amount, the less interest, and the bigger your net gain from keeping your money in the market. Financing a cheap car smartly will always beat financing an expensive car emotionally. Always. The right car, the right price, a simple formula. So the big question now is, how do you decide which car to buy and how much to spend? Because this is where most people either overthink it or completely ignore it. And both extremes cost you money. Here is a simple rule that financial experts and smart money managers have suggested for years. The April 20th, 10 rule. It is easy to remember and even easier to apply. 20. Put down at least 20% as a down payment. This immediately reduces your loan amount, lowers your monthly payment, and ensures you are not underwater on the car from day one. Remember, cars depreciate fast. A solid down payment protects you from owing more than the car is worth. 4. Finance for a maximum of 4 years. The longer your loan term, the more interest you pay in total. Dealerships love pushing 6- and 7-year loans because the monthly payment looks small, but you end up paying thousands extra in interest and you stay tied to a depreciating asset for far too long. 10. Your total monthly car expenses, including loan payment, insurance, and fuel, should never exceed 10% of your monthly gross income. This keeps the car from eating into your savings, your investments, and your financial freedom. So if your monthly gross income is $5,000, your total car expense budget is $500 per month. That includes everything. This single rule will prevent you from ever making an emotionally driven car decision that destroys your finances. The formula is not glamorous. It will not get you the flashiest car on the block, but it will keep your wealth growing quietly in the background. And that is exactly the point. The psychological traps dealerships set and how to escape them. Car dealerships are not just selling cars, they are selling emotions. And they are extremely good at it. Every single thing inside that showroom, every word the salesperson says, every offer they put on the table, it is all carefully designed to make you spend more than you planned. Trap number 1, the monthly payment trick. Dealerships will almost never talk about the total price of the car. They will immediately shift the conversation to what monthly payment are you comfortable with. This is intentional. A $45,000 car sounds expensive, but $599 a month sounds manageable. Do not fall for it. Always negotiate the total price first. Trap number 2, the urgency trick. This deal is only available today. Another buyer is coming to see this car tomorrow. This is pure pressure tactics designed to stop you from thinking clearly. A good deal today will still be a good deal tomorrow. Never let urgency rush a decision that involves thousands of dollars. Trap number 3, the extras trap. Once you agree on a price, dealerships push extended warranties, paint protection, gap insurance, and accessories. These are almost always overpriced. Research each one independently before agreeing to anything. Walk into every dealership with a number in your head, a rule in your pocket, and zero emotional attachment to any car on that lot. The long-term wealth impact, real numbers that will shock you. Everything we have discussed so far, opportunity cost, smart financing, avoiding traps, it all leads to one final destination: long-term wealth. And this is where the real magic happens. So let us look at actual numbers that will make this completely impossible to ignore. Let us take 2 people. Same age, same income, same financial starting point. We will call them Alex and Ben. Alex believes in paying cash for cars. Every 5 years, he buys a new car for $25,000 cash. He feels proud, debt-free, and financially responsible. Ben finances his cars smartly using the strategy we discussed. He puts 20% down, takes a 4-year loan at 5% interest, and keeps his $20,000 invested every single time. Over a 30-year period, both buy roughly 6 cars. Alex pulls $25,000 out of his investments every 5 years. Ben keeps his money compounding and only pays manageable monthly installments. At the end of 30 years at a 10% average annual return, Alex's repeated cash withdrawals cost him approximately $180,000 in lost investment growth. Ben's portfolio during that same period grew significantly larger, simply because he never interrupted the compounding process. That difference, $180,000, is not income. It is not extra work. It is purely the result of one smarter decision made repeatedly over time. Compounding does not care about your emotions. It only rewards consistency and patience. This is why wealthy people think differently about car purchases. They are not just buying a car. They are protecting their compounding machine from unnecessary interruptions. What to do if your credit score is not strong yet? So far, this strategy sounds perfect, but a very common and very valid question is this: what if my credit score is not good enough to get a low interest rate? This is a real situation for millions of people, and it deserves an honest and practical answer. First, do not panic and do not rush. Buying a car with a bad credit score and a high interest rate is genuinely worse than paying cash. If a lender is quoting you 12%, 15%, or even 18% interest, that loan will cost you far more than the opportunity cost savings. In that situation, either pay cash for a cheaper car or wait until your credit improves. Now here is how you fix your credit score step by step. Step 1. Pay every bill on time. Your payment history is the single biggest factor in your credit score. Even one missed payment can drop your score significantly. Set up automatic payments for every bill and never miss a due date. Step 2. Reduce your credit utilization. This means the percentage of your available credit that you are currently using. If your credit card limit is $5,000 and your balance is $4,000, that is 80% utilization, which seriously hurts your score. Try to keep it below 30% at all times. Step 3. Do not apply for multiple loans at once. Every time you apply for credit, it creates a hard inquiry on your report. Multiple hard inquiries in a short period signal financial desperation to lenders and drop your score quickly. Step 4. Be patient. Credit scores do not improve overnight. But with consistent habits, most people can see meaningful improvement within 6 to 12 months. Once your score is strong enough to qualify for rates below 6%, then, and only then, should you use the financing strategy we discussed. The advanced move nobody talks about. So you have the foundation. You understand opportunity cost, smart financing, credit scores, and long-term wealth impact. But now let us talk about something that takes this entire strategy to the next level, something that almost nobody in personal finance content ever discusses openly. Use your car loan as a credit-building tool while simultaneously growing your investments. Here is what this means in practice. When you take a low-interest car loan and make every single payment on time, you are doing three powerful things at the exact same time. First, your invested cash is compounding and growing in the background. Second, your consistent on-time payments are actively building and strengthening your credit score every single month. Third, a stronger credit score unlocks better interest rates on future loans, whether that is a home mortgage, a business loan, or your next car purchase. This creates a positive financial cycle. Smart financing builds credit. Better credit gets you lower rates. Lower rates make financing even more profitable compared to paying cash. And your investments keep compounding throughout the entire process. Now here is the advanced layer on top of this. Once your investment portfolio grows large enough, and this is something wealthy individuals do regularly, you can actually use your portfolio as collateral to secure even lower interest rates on loans. Some brokerage accounts allow you to borrow against your investments at rates as low as 2% to 3%. At that point, the gap between your borrowing cost and your investment returns becomes enormous. This is not complicated. This is just understanding how money actually works and then using every available tool in your favor instead of against you. Real-life scenarios. How this works at every income level. One of the biggest misconceptions about this strategy is that it only works for high-income earners. People assume you need to be already wealthy to make smart financing work in your favor. That is completely wrong. Let me show you how this applies across three very different income levels. Scenario 1. The entry-level earner, $2,500 monthly income. This person is just starting out. They cannot afford a $25,000 car, and honestly, they should not buy one. The smart move here is to find a reliable used car for $8,000 to $10,000. Put 20% down, around $2,000. Finance the remaining $8,000 at the best available rate. Keep that $2,000 they saved invested in a simple index fund. The monthly payment stays well within the 10% rule. They build credit, they start investing, and they avoid the trap of buying too much car too soon. Scenario 2. The mid-level earner, $5,000 monthly income. This person has more options, but also more temptations. Their 10% rule gives them a $500 monthly car budget, including insurance and fuel. They can comfortably finance a $18,000 to $22,000 car with 20% down. Their $4,000 to $5,000 down payment savings stay invested. They get a reasonable interest rate thanks to a decent credit score, and their wealth building continues uninterrupted in the background. Scenario 3. The high-income earner, $10,000 plus monthly income. This is where the strategy becomes extremely powerful. This person could easily pay cash for almost any car, but they choose not to. They finance a $35,000 to $40,000 car at a low interest rate, keep $30,000 plus fully invested, and the compounding effect over time generates returns that dwarf the total interest paid on the loan. Their monthly payment is completely comfortable, and their portfolio grows aggressively. The pattern is identical across all three scenarios. Keep your cash working. Finance smartly. Stay within your budget rules. The numbers change, but the principle never does. The complete summary, and a final message that changes everything. We have covered a lot of ground in this video. So before we wrap up, let me bring everything together one final time so it is crystal clear in your mind. Point 1. Paying cash for a car is not always the smartest financial decision. It kills your opportunity cost and removes money from your wealth-building machine at the exact moment it should be compounding. Point 2. Wealthy people use other people's money strategically. They finance at low interest rates while keeping their own cash invested and growing at higher rates. The difference between those two numbers is pure profit. Point 3. This strategy only works under the right conditions. Your investments must beat your interest rate. Your money must actually stay invested. Your payment must be comfortable. And your credit score must be strong enough to qualify for low rates. Point 4. The April 20th, 10 rule is your protection against emotional car buying. 20% down. 4-year maximum loan. 10% of gross income as your total car expense limit. Follow this every single time without exception. Point 5. Car dealerships are in the business of selling emotions. Monthly payment tricks, urgency pressure, and unnecessary extras are all designed to make you spend more. Walk in prepared and walk out with the upper hand. Point 6. Your credit score is the key that unlocks this entire strategy. If it is not strong yet, build it deliberately and patiently before attempting smart financing. Point 7. This strategy works at every income level. Whether you earn $2,500 or $10,000 a month, the principle remains identical. Keep your cash working. Finance smartly. Never interrupt compounding unnecessarily. Now here is the final message I want to leave you with. And please listen carefully because this is the most important thing I will say in this entire video.